Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
1,000 crore rupee fraud at Punjab National Bank has taken several twists and turns. It is a story that has multiple threads: political, regulatory, commercial and even investigative. Let me take you through the key developments of the day on these fronts. First up, the PNB management spoke to the media for the first time after detecting the fraud. In that press conference, PNB said it detected the scam on the 25th of January. It lodged an FIR on the 29th of January. The bank also said that this was a standalone incident and the recovery process has been initiated. Not just that, PNB's management also confirmed to CNBC TV18 news break that Nirav Modi has written to the bank proposing a repayment plan. The PNB management also spoke on the issue of liability. Sources from the banking sector have told CNBC TV18 that banks urged the Reserve Bank to instruct PNB to pay up outstanding dues on letters of undertaking issued to Nirav Modi and his associate entities. But PNB has said it has not received any such instruction yet. It maintains that it is in talks with other lenders on the issue and it will honour any bona fide commitments. Meanwhile, investigative agencies have stepped up their action against Nirav Modi and other persons that allegedly are behind the fraud. The CBI has issued a lookout circular, even as sources say that Nirav Modi is in Switzerland, and the Enforcement Directorate has seized gems, gold and jewellery worth over 5,000 crore rupees after conducting search operations across the country. The PNB fraud has also triggered a political blame game. The Congress, the Aam Aadmi Party and the CPI hitting out at the Modi government. The Congress alleging the government ignored a 2016 complaint against Mehul Choksi and his Gitanjali gems. The government on its part has hit back at the Congress, saying the fraud started and thrived when UPA was in power. Now Network 18 has exclusively accessed that letter that the Congress referred to. It was sent to the Prime Minister's office in July of 2016. It alleged a possible fraud naming Mehul Choksi and Gitanjali gems. Remember, Mehul Choksi and Gitanjali gems were also named along with Nirav Modi and his companies in the CBI FIR filed in January of 2018. Before I bring on our special guests, let's hear out what the PNB management has to say.
We are the first one to detect and report this to the various law enforcement agencies, banking sector. जो भी हमारे lenders हैं, हमने उन सबको इसमें inform करके रखा है, उनको advisory भी दी है. The bank has the capabilities and the capacities to come out this situation. PNB is confident and committed for clean banking. We will come out with the present situation. We are already in discussion with all the stakeholders, including the other banks who are a party to it. We will resolve it. We will honor all our bona fide commitments. We are already in discussion with all the lenders. It will be decided based on the investigation. If the entire onus is ours, we will hold the responsibility. We are not going back from it. But nobody else can be a beneficiary of it also.
That's the Punjab National Bank management speaking earlier today. Now, we've been speaking with several prominent voices from the world of banking and finance. Let's hear out what former RBI Deputy Governor Shamala Gopinath, Chairman of Edelweiss Financial Services Rashesh Shah and the Dean of New York University's Stern School of Business Rangarajan Sundaram have to say on the PNB fraud.
It startled me when I saw this, but did it surprise? No, we've seen similar things occur in allegedly sophisticated financial institutions worldwide. You remember the SocGen case when Jerome Kerviel lost 5 billion euros, what was then $7 billion. He was not even supposed to be trading. Now, how does a non-trader trade $7 billion worth? His notional positions were $50 billion, and SocGen systems could not track it. We've seen this happen repeatedly, time and again. I think this is a global problem, and yes, what happened at PNB was awful, but I think we should be careful not to make too much of it. I mean, I think all banks need much better risk management systems than they have in place today.
I really think we need to understand how this happened and exactly, find out the processes that were not followed, and we need to learn from this as to where are the weaknesses and the deficiencies, and then address them. So I think there's no dearth of controls and systems and all that. It's just a question of what got missed, how it got missed. I really think we need to study this further and get better information of how this happened, because otherwise it's very difficult to comment and say that the whole system is bad. It's not. There are systems and controls.
Control systems, audit processes, all these are very essential, and especially in industry like banking. But I think the government should also act quickly. I think this thing about, somebody does something wrong, goes out of the country, and then it takes years to bring them back, it also shows our country in very bad, in bad light. We have to move quickly. We have to use the full force of the law. We have to use every instrument we have to make sure that the action is taken, because I think mistakes will happen, things will fall in the crack. But if the punishment is swift, if it is, very strong, then you will stop having, this kind of episode happening again and again.
I have with me three former RBI Deputy Governors, K.C. Chakrabarti, R. Gandhi, S.S. Mundra. Also joining us, R.K. Bakshi, former ED of Bank of Baroda. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us here. Mr. Mundra, let me start by asking you, sir, and this was a question that was asked of the Punjab National Bank management as well in their press conference today. Where does the liability lie? The response from the PNB management was that it will, at the end of the investigation process and perhaps on the direction of the Reserve Bank, if we do have the onus of repayment, then we will take on the responsibility. We will honor our bona fide commitments. Now, the 6 banks that have been in some form or fashion been involved in these transactions argue that the liability must be borne by Punjab National Bank as the money was sent to the bank's Nostro account. How do you react to that, Mr. Mundra?
Okay. Let's begin like this. Number one, the information which has come is too sketchy still to really know the full facts of the case. But having said that, on the face value, without quoting this particular instance, I would like to say that if the instruction has gone through the SWIFT system, which is a secured, recognized, authenticate communication system from one bank system, if money has come into the Nostro account of that bank, when the LOU discounting banks have disbursed, and then that money has been utilized.
Yes.
And, some arguments were that, this was done by some employees fraudulently, but I think then there is the question of agent-principal relationship, and I don't think on that ground a principal can refuse the transaction. So, if these are the 3 prerequisites which have been met, then obviously on the basis of, if these are all confirming evidences are there, then I think it's very clear liability would be on the part of LOU issuing bank. But if there are other factors and the matter enters into the any kind of dispute, then ultimately it will be the investigation and judicial authority. I don't think that it would be possible for RBI or regulator to, if matter has entered into, a judicial dispute, then any kind of, directions like that, summary directions can be given. I don't think so.
Okay. Mr. Bakshi, since we're talking about facts, Punjab National Bank, in its cautionary advisory that it issued to 30 banks yesterday, said that Indian banks did not adhere to the RBI's guidelines on the 90-day LOU window for exports while extending the credit. And hence, I guess they're also putting a question mark then on why the liability should end at their door.
This is a point that has been made by PNB, but I will think that banks abroad, are they supposed to be bound by the letter of LOU that has been given to them, or by supposed to be in the knowledge of RBI regulation? Suppose it was a foreign bank discounted, and it is possible that in a particular case PNB might have issued the LOU after obtaining forbearance from RBI. So it would have been an alertness on the part of the foreign discounting branch to point it out. But whether it can put a claim on them or a liability on them that they overlooked this fact, they are liable, that to me doesn't appear. But everything will depend on the facts of the case. If it was a regulatory violation, violation is first on behalf of PNB, which has issued it for 360 days. not on behalf of the discounting bank which has discounted such an LOC. And if at all it is found by the regulator that they were also in error, then a regulatory action can be taken against them. But PNB cannot, on this basis, to my mind, prima facie, without knowing all facts details, cannot renege on their liability.
So this has gone on for the last 7 years, and it's not as if the pace of the transactions have decelerated. How do you explain this to a layperson? How can something like this be pulled off, Mr. Mundra?
No,
and what about the role of the Reserve Bank?
I think the question I mentioned in the beginning, question of junior employees and all that, it is a principal and their agent issue, so that can't be a ground for disowning any kind of responsibility. But the key question is there had been, basically is a operational failure, is a failure of system and the risk management. In fact, personally, I remember sometime in September 2016, I had delivered a speech and I had exactly mentioned about this kind of possibilities. So, and in June 2016, RBI
what
had
gave
come
you
out,
the reason to...
RBI had come out with a
What gave you reason
checklist.
and in 2016 to raise the red flag on this issue, sir? Did you have evidence to suggest, or did you have reason enough to be concerned that you actually made reference to this in June of 2016? Not the specific case, but something, this operational failure that you're talking about.
There had been instances where there had been effort to, manipulate the SWIFT system. There had been one case about the Nostro, trial on Nostro, which was filed. I won't go into the detail, but there were attempts. So I think while we are discussing what is happening today, but to my mind, and I would like to use this opportunity to basically, we should look forward that, and three things are necessary. Number one, there should be a seamless integration interface between the CBS system and SWIFT system without any manual intervention in between. That is very, very important. The second point is, these kind of activities should not be dispersed all over at hundreds of branches. It makes sense to create, each bank should create few centralized center, and this is what we had suggested, we had mentioned. But the third point, and Chirin, which I would really like to mention at this point of time, with this kind of instances emerging, I think it is now appropriate to do a national level check. And for that, let's pick up a cutoff date, let's say of January end. And all the Indian banks who have discounted against the LOU, let them reconcile with each other.
Mr. Bakshi, important comments that are coming in from Mr. Mundra. A national level reconciliation should be a priority that we should look at this point in time. Of course, seamless integration of the core banking system with SWIFT and centralized centers when it comes to disbursal of LOUs. Would you like to add to what we now need to focus on to ensure that we don't end up in this situation a few months down the line or a few weeks down the line, Mr. Bakshi?
Yes, I will like to add, but while endorsing whatever Mr. Mundra has said, he's a very seasoned banker and very valid points made by him. I'd like to just add one thing, which was, to my mind, the biggest gap, which if it would have been that risk mitigation would have been practiced, the fraud would have been nipped in the bud on the very first day, which is if SWIFT is a standalone system, the log of the SWIFT, the day's messages, must be independently gone through by some officer at the end of the day, because ultimately you are leaving the key to the treasure in the hands of two people. If the messages were verified at the end of the day, immediately unauthorized messages would have been noticed. When we used to have earlier the telex system, the telex roll, the carbon copy was at the end of the day verified individually and all messages were ticked whether only authorized messages have gone. In this case, how can you leave a standalone system which can create liability of billions of dollars and the messages are not checked neither by confident auditor or by some officers? They should be checked every day.
In terms of the road ahead, the kind of measures that need to be put in place for further risk mitigation and independent validation of the SWIFT must also be done. That's the word coming in from the former ED of Bank of Baroda. Unfortunately, we're out of time here. Mr. Mundra, Mr. Chakrabarti, and all of our other guests, thanks very much for joining us. This fraud has now taken on political hues. At a press conference today, Congress spokesperson Randeep Surjewala hit out at the government for choosing to stay mum despite a tip-off on Nirav Modi in 2016. The Congress has also targeted Prime Minister Modi for the presence of Nirav Modi in the India business delegation at Davos. That's not all. Congress President Rahul Gandhi has tweeted from his official handle as well. The tweet said, and I quote, "Guide to looting India by Nirav Modi. Hug PM Modi. Be seen with him in Davos. Use that clout to steal 12,000 crore rupees. Slip out of the country like Malia while the government looks the other way." The Bharatiya Janata Party fielded Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad to counter the Congress charge. Prasad said the Congress's accusation that PM Modi helped Nirav Modi escape the country was shameful. He emphasized the Prime Minister never met Nirav Modi and advised the Congress against indulging in picture politics. It's not just Congress. Delhi's Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee have also now jumped into the fray with their reactions on the issue. Joining us now to discuss this further, Amit Malviya, spokesperson of the BJP, Raghav Chadda, spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, and Mohammad Khan, spokesperson of the Congress Party. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us here on the show. Amit Malviya, I would like to start by asking you, and while the BJP has said that let's not indulge in picture politics, what is absolutely clear is that Nirav Modi was part of the CEO delegation at Davos. Nirav Modi was photographed as part of the CEO delegation that met with the Prime Minister in Davos. The Davos event finished on the 27th of January, and on the 29th is when we see Punjab National Bank file that complaint with the CBI, and then, of course, the CBI charge sheet is filed. How do you respond to that?
Firstly, I want to clarify that he was not part of the Prime Minister's official delegation. If at all, he was there in his capacity as a member of the CII, and he was clicked in the same frame as several other CEOs who were part of the CII were. And therefore, if there's any question to this effect, it should be put to the CII, and the PMO, the Prime Minister, should not be dragged into it. Point number two is that the Congress party has been trying to muddy waters and trying to pull in Mehul Choksi and the supposed complaint made against him to Nirav Modi. The fact is that they too are different. There have been 42 FIRs on Mehul Choksi's company, and they are under investigation. This particular scam, which has followed a similar modus operandi as the Mehul Choksi one, has been discovered by PNB, reported to the CBI, and the government has acted very swiftly to confiscate 5,100 crore worth of assets and properties. Their families have not been tipped off and sent abroad, as the Congress is alleging, because these people are anyway NRIs.
May I ask you? May I ask you? May I ask you a simple question?
Wherever they are at the moment.
Amit Malviya, may I ask you a simple question? You said that the Congress is trying to muddy waters by bringing up that complaint that was sent to the Prime Minister's office in 2016. Yes, the complaint dealt with Mehul Choksi, but Mehul Choksi has also been named in the same FIR that has been filed by the CBI that involves Nirav Modi and his associates. Punjab National Bank has also named Mehul Choksi. So if there was such a complaint that was sent to the Prime Minister's office in 2016, why has there been no action till 2018?
That's because there are certain companies of Mehul Choksi which are sister companies to Nirav Modi and are involved in this transaction, as has been reported by PNB, and that's the reason CBI has named both of these. Since the modus operandi is same, it's probably the same bank branch and the same staff in PNB and the supervisory staff who've been involved in it. And
my question was very simple. My question was very simple, Amit Malviya. I said if the Prime Minister's office received a complaint in 2016 saying that Mehul Choksi was involved in fraud running into thousands of crore rupees, why is it taken till 2018 for any kind of action to be taken?
Well, the Prime Minister's office is not the investigating office. It had forwarded to the concerned department, and the department has initiated process, and that's how these 42 FIRs have been filed against Mehul Choksi and his various companies. And that's the action that has followed. We are mixing the two things. The Nirav Modi case, which is right now in the limelight, is something that also involves companies which are owned by Mehul Choksi, and therefore the both of them are named. It's the same modus operandi, same branch, and same individuals. That is the reason. And one more thing I want to tell you here. The fact is that the swiftness with which the government has acted is quite unprecedented, and the government is very clear that we are going to ensure that every penny that has been taken off the system, if at all, because the PNB CMD today said that they're still to crystallize the liability, if there is any, because the note that they put out as a caution note to various other banks says very clearly that some of these facilities were used for evergreening their previous loans, which means that they were paying off the previous loans by taking fresh ones from another one. So really, what is the amount or what is the liability that is outstanding is still not known, and it's a matter of investigation.
Well, we can only go by what the PNB management has said, and the PNB management has itself informed the exchanges of a number of 11,000 crores. You're right that it is going to be a matter of investigation on what the final amount is, and of course who bears the liability. We've been having that conversation with former RBI deputy governors who believe that prima facie the liability rests with Punjab National Bank, but that's a matter of another debate. Mohammad Khan, I want to get you to respond to what we've heard there from Amit Malviya and respond to the criticism that, look, this is a matter of great national distress. This is taxpayer money. Let's not bring it down to picture politics.
Well, I don't know how to respond to the rambling defense put forth by this fellow, but I will say this. Shireen, let's look at the facts. Let's start with July 2016. The letter goes to the Prime Minister's office. A gentleman by the name of Hari Prasad writes to the Prime Minister's office in detail. As this fellow himself admitted, those companies are linked with the Nirav Modi group. So the two are inextricably linked. The Prime Minister's office acknowledges that letter, forwards it to the ROC. The ROC closes the complaint. Thereafter, letters of undertaking. These very banks, what they don't tell you, Shireen, is that they continue to lend money under the watch of this government. This government, which has on your channel prided itself on being fiscally prudent, on putting in place mechanisms of oversight.
But I also want to put on record that it dates back to 2011 when your government was in office.
I will take that.
So both need to take the blame.
No, Shireen. You could have made this allegation 4 years ago had they caught this. Today, on this day of all days, the blame lies solely at the doorstep of the BJP, and I'll tell you why. The first time can be an accident. The second time can be a coincidence. The third time, it's a deliberate pattern. Lalit Modi, Vijay Mallya, and now Nirav Modi, they all flee the country. Every time they get information and he's defending them, he's saying, no, they're not Indian citizens. No, they left before. What are you doing, man? The fact is, this happened on your watch. LOCs are always convenient.
It also happened on your watch, Mohammad Khan.
Not as much as this.
Mohammad Khan, no, I don't want to get into whose scam was bigger. That's a whole other debate. It also happened. No. It happened.
God, you must adhere to that standard.
It also happened on your watch. Raghav Chadda, very quickly, the key questions that you would like answered here on this program.
Well, the key questions, Shireen, are pretty clear. First of all, why did the Prime Minister's office did not act on this complaint that was sent by this whistleblower called Hari Prasad, dated 26th of July 2016. This complaint, if you go through the contents, very clearly says that I have exhausted all my remedies before the Finance Ministry, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, the FIU, etc., and none of these agencies have any interest in acting against Nirav Modi, and therefore, Honorable Prime Minister, I am petitioning your office to kindly look into this entire matter. The Prime Minister's office, in fact, receives this complaint, gives a due,
Raghav, don't be economical with the truth. Don't be economical with the truth. The letter talks about Mehul Choksi. The letter does not talk about Nirav Modi.
Now, it talks about Mehul Choksi and the companies of Mehul Choksi, who happens to be Nirav Modi's close aide. His companies are also under the scanner. These companies are also the companies which have taken these LOUs from the Punjab National Bank. And this entire fraud, this fraud that was brewing, was brought to the doorstep of the Prime Minister, and unfortunately nothing happened. Number two, in the month of January 2018, to be precise, 23rd January 2018, the Prime Minister is seen with this gentleman in Davos, and in that picture that we have also put out in our press conference. Now, I refuse to believe that there are no due diligence, checks and balances, etc. in place to ensure and scrutinize every person who happens to be part of the Prime Minister's delegation, who gets clicked with the Prime Minister under the banner of World Economic Forum. Number three, it is absolutely incorrect to put this entire blame on one petty executive of the Punjab National Bank. It's a fraud of 11,400 odd crores, which I feel has the senior most people in this country holding the senior most offices, the highest offices in this country, to be complicit in this entire case. And lastly, Shireen, let me point out, even whether it was the case of Mr. Vijay Mallya, who before absconding and before becoming a fugitive was seen breaking bread with senior ministers of the BJP government in the parliament premises hours before he boarded his flight to London. Similarly, Nirav Modi also happens to break bread with the Prime Minister before he becomes a fugitive.
But I don't want to get into extrapolations, basis, circumstantial evidence. That is not what we do here on this program. Amit Malviya, very quickly before I take the break, you talked about swift action. Why is it that we've only seen the ED make a recovery to the tune of, they claim, 5,000 crore rupees today? Why is it that since the 25th of January, which is when the fraud was detected, and then the 29th when the complaint has been made, and previous raids have happened, there has been no such recovery ostensibly by the Enforcement Directorate?
Well, Shireen, the fact of the matter is that immediately after the complaint was made, there was action which was initiated, and the 5,100 crore that we are speaking about is a result of raids that have happened on multiple locations. And as you know, these raids do not happen with any prior information. So they were done at a certain time of the ED's choosing, and they've gone ahead and ensured that they have confiscated the maximum amount they could, so that it puts a lot of pressure on the defaulter in this case to pay up. And also, as has been reported by several sections of the media, that Nirav Modi himself has come forward and offered to settle whatever is the outstanding. So there is immense pressure on him, and the government is committed to ensure that he pays up everything that is due to the bank. And one last point I want to say. One last thing, Shireen, since the fellow from Congress kept saying that he's been clicked with the Prime Minister, and so did the guy from Aam Aadmi Party, their own leader today said that Rahul Gandhi was attending the bridal jewelry collection in 2013, hosted by Nirav Modi. Now, Rahul Gandhi certainly not interested in bridal jewelry.
He's not one of ours.
And this guy from the Congress party has to clearly...
We're at the end of this debate. Mohammed, Amit Malviya and Raghav Chadha, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV18. It is time for us to head into a break, but coming up right after that, another CNBC TV18 exclusive.